What's up, everybody? We are live on YouTube for another installment of your Impact Attack. And I am one half of your host here. I am Colin Whitesong, and I'm joined each and every week by my main man here, by OVW veteran, none other than the Vet. Vet, say what's up to everybody today.
What's up, everybody? I'm going to go ahead and just apologize for Colin right off the bat because he seems to be having some audio difficulties over there with his Fisher Price internet that he just plugged in.
So, wait, you hear the echo too?
It's not the echo, you're distorted. Like it's what happens when you have slow upload speeds, sir.
Yeah, that's terrible. I don't know. I have no. I've got the Ben Hameen syndrome over here with my internet and everything going crazy today.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's been having a little bit of audio issues, ranging from minor to debilitating.
Yeah, this could be quite debilitating for us if you guys can hear the echo. Uh, but we're here to review Impact Wrestling. Now, I did have some things that I wanted to talk to you about, kind of before we jumped into Impact. Yeah, I'm getting
Oh, he's
connection
freezing up. He's freezing up.
lined in, so I shouldn't be unstable. But we had some firings at the WWE. Vet. One
Mm-hmm.
of your favorites, Mark Carrano, was released. Now they're letting office
What?
people go after Mickey James tweets out a photo of getting her belongings in a box, stuck in a trash bag,
Yeah, trash bag.
boxed up in that box. Like, is this how Rip
That's
used to
hot.
send y'all stuff when y'all left OVW? Like Rip would or Al Snow would like package it up in like a garbage bag and like send it out to you.
No, they didn't even care enough to do that.
It's funny. But what are your thoughts on some of these guys, getting fired? Like I admit I watch Total Divas, I watch the Miz and Mrs. I watch a lot of their reality stuff, and Mark Carrano was kind of a mainstay on a lot of their reality shows, but he was always the villain. Like he always came across like, oh yeah, hey, I'm so nice, I'm Mark Carrano, but then he was the one that always had to deliver the bad news. So like if they weren't gonna, oh, your match got cut tonight or this and that. So he always came across as like an ass, as like this dick. And so a lot of people are very happy that he's been fired from the WWE, and they see that of course they had to have a scapegoat in all of what was going on. You send a Hall of Fame worthy Mickey James, legend in the sport, her stuff in a trash bag. That's just petty. That's just super petty.
Oh, is that wasn't real, was it? I thought that was a joke she made.
No, that was real.
What do you mean it's real? How can you? It really?
Yeah,
How
they
do we know
fired.
it's how do we know it's real? Like that I thought that was her like making a statement about the whole thing.
No, she got her stuff that way, and then Maria Kanellis said last year when she got fired, she got her stuff the same way.
Oh, okay. I've not heard of this standard practice of giving people their belongings in a trash bag. But like where are these belongings stored? You know
That's
what I
what I
mean?
had
Like
no clue.
this is not your house. It's not like the gym that you have a locker. Like you just show up at WWE and you just keep all your stuff there, and then you clean out your this. This isn't like a clean out your desk situation. I don't know why they would like what they would be leaving at the quote unquote office. I didn't really look into it, but I saw the picture and I just assumed that that was her way of like making a joke. I didn't know that that was like supposedly. I still don't believe it. I don't care what you say. But as far as Mark Carrano goes, I'm not gonna. I don't know anything about like the guy. Like actually, I've never met him or anything like that. But I mean, he seemed like a creep. I've never heard anything good about him, and you can kind of like, even though those shows like Total Divas are highly produced, you can still like some things still just shine through. Like there's no way to even if you like edit the footage a certain way to make people look a certain way, like there's some stuff that you just can't deny. Like he just seemed like a creep. He looks like a
Yeah,
creep, but that's not his fault. I mean, that's just how he was born, you know. So he
genetics.
just looks like that. Yeah. He acts like a creep. He seemed to take no displeasure in delivering the bad news, almost like it was kind of like amusing to him.
Fun for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been there way too long, and I don't know what skill set he had that made him necessary, other than it is in fairness and defense of him, it's a thankless job. Nobody wants the talent relations job because most of the time all it is delivering news that people don't want to hear. So, but I have no I have no sympathy for I have no sympathy for that guy or any of the other people you know do we know any other non wrestling talent that got let go?
Yeah, so there was another talent relations person that was let female, I believe, John Cohn. He was not fired, but he was let go from his position in talent relations, but he'll still be refereeing.
Well, that's probably well, I don't know
So
if he's like collecting multiple paychecks for that, but so that would kind of suck. But I hope that everything stays the same for him because I'm sure he didn't
yeah,
want to have the extra responsibility. But I don't know. I mean, John was one of the guys like he just when I was at OVW in training, he just showed up one day and was training, like doing all the drills and things. And I just assumed he was another person that, you know, signed up for the class and wanted to be a wrestler, you know? Like there was no formal announcements, there was no nothing. He was just in there running ropes, taking bumps, doing all this stuff or whatever and, you know, that was it. And, I'd see him every day or it wasn't even that many times. It was like a couple of weeks, maybe a month. And I'd see him and I'd be like, "What's up, Johnny?" He'd be like, "What's up, vet?" And then that's it. And we didn't have a conversation or nothing. Then I turn on the TV, he's just reffing matches in the WWE. I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" I thought this guy was in our class. So, but yeah, he's always been over with me. I've publicly said many times he's the best referee in wrestling. He's just like you watch him. That's what a referee's supposed to do. Is what he does. So I wish nothing but the best for John Cone. So if he was, if this takes a little bit of stress off of him and takes a few things off his plate so he can relax, that's cool. If it takes money out of his pocket, that's not cool. I'm just a pro John Cone guy. So whatever's best for John Cone, that's what I'm in favor of.
that's what you're for. Yeah, that's so. I think that's been the biggest news story that's been going around the dirt sheets and the IWC and everything. Last like 24 to 48 hours. Now we do have a big movie premiere that happened today. I hate HBO Max because I tried at 12 a.m., 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m., 30 a.m. tried to go and watch Mortal Kombat when it clearly says on their website available at 12. And it was not. HBO, why you lying to me? Why you playing with my emotions like that, HBO Max?
Well,
I got my
Hollywood's out.
Godzilla fix when I needed it, but no Sub Zero, no Scorpion, no Shang Tsung. I don't know what to do with myself.
So Hollywood's here on the West Coast, so you probably had to wait till 3 a.m. Either that or your slow ass internet just couldn't catch up.
Yeah, I just decided to play some Final Fantasy 7.
7 remake for free.
Actually, speaking of when we get in the show, um that's funny that of the notes that I took since no one had notes for me, I had to
Oh, look at
actually
that!
write notes
Is that graph paper?
today. So yeah, it is graph paper. I love graph paper. Graph paper's the best because you can just do whatever you want with it. There's a thing about PlayStation. that they mentioned on Rebellion.
I had that too. I had that note too.
Yeah. So if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, along with several games that you're going to get in the month of April for free, you also get Rebellion, Impact Rebellion on PlayStation for free. I'm assuming, which I'm assuming it's going to be on Twitch for free as well. I don't know.
No, I'm sure it won't. I'm sure it'll be on
Uh,
Impact Plus for $6.99 or whatever the cost of
9.99.
that app is. And if it's on PlayStation, it's probably just an app. It's probably they're probably just saying that the Impact Plus app is available on PlayStation. I don't think they're including it with Plus, although they should.
They got
But yeah, I had that note. I
they got a
said,
couple Sony.
I said, what did D'Lo say about PlayStation? That's on my notes. But so I guess that's something we'll have to look into that a little bit further.
Matt Stryker probably like when he mentioned that Rebellion was going to be on PlayStation, he like poked he poked D'Lo like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. With that being said, I mean, do we want to get into it, or do we want to try to stall? Do we want to try to do a little more walk and talk and try to get the crowd into it, or what are we gonna do? Because I'm not gonna. I'm just telling you right up front. I'm not gonna be nice to this show
Ooh.
today. I'm just
So
not that I have been,
I'll find the
but
positives. I there were some things that I liked, and there were some things I didn't like about. So we'll try to find some positives out of all of your negative. As you are the vet, and you are the one that has all of the experience around here, and most of everyone in wrestling. You're the most experienced wrestler that's not wrestling right now. I believe. I have that strong feeling. Right? Is that's part of your character, your gimmick, the vet?
let's go with that.
Let's go with that.
Let's go
I
with
like
that.
it. I
Let's
like it.
go with
Okay.
that.
So guys, we're about to jump into the impact attack portion of the show. Let's keep it making. I didn't know they used this in the Sonic movie. They used this in the Sonic movie. Or somebody dubbed over.
Yeah, that's. Let's cut this. Cut this. Cut all this. Stop it. That's enough.
Cry as we roll into your impact attack, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, we start off the night with Decay as Black Tars or Tarus or however they were pronouncing it on the show, and Crazy Steve come out to wrestle the Good Brothers. And this was a match. I can't really find too much positive out of this. They pretty much just this whole show was an hour and a half long, and probably 45 minutes of the whole show was Rebellion promos and vignettes and like little interstitial videos and things like that they kept throwing up. Um, Good Brothers over in this first match with the Magic Killer. Now I don't watch a lot of Impact. You know, this is my fourth or fifth time watching. For a guy like Crazy Steve, I really do like his mannerisms in the ring. Like there was a part where he had thrown like a gallows down, and he was like menacing like over him as he was going in for like the next move. Like his mannerisms, the way that he really plays up that character. Now, for me personally, I didn't really ever like any of the Rosemary Decay like Impact stuff because I was a big ICP fan, and I like looked at like when Insane Clown Pot. I just look at it and I see like insane. I see like that type of influence on that type. But I'm just yeah, that just era of the early 2000s. I feel like that bled into who Steve and Decay and them were. So I just was always turned off in early iterations of Decay and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
It would have made sense if I had heard half of anything that you just said because of your shitty fucking internet. God damn it.
All right, you
What
you
the
carry
hell?
the show. You carry the show right now. You talk about this match. I'm gonna go see what I can do to fix it.
I might as well mail you what I'm about to say. All right. So let's. My first question was supposed to be for Colin because I'm not sure, but since he walked away, I'll just ask the people. Has DK opened this show 3 weeks in a row? Because that's what it seems like. So we're starting with this program that we've been watching of DK and the Good Brothers, right? Since we've been watching it, Colin and I have been watching it. The first thing we saw was on this Hardcore Justice pay-per-view. We saw a singles match between Gallows and Taurus, which I already talked about that. You can go back and listen to my thoughts on that if you missed it. Spoiler alert, I didn't like it. So we get that single match. Then we get on free TV the next week, we get another singles match with Carl Anderson and Crazy Steve. And then now on the third week that we've been watching this, we get a tag team match between the Good Brothers and DK. So they're building up to this tag team match with singles matches, one of which was on a pay-per-view. Okay, that's what I was saying while you were in the other room, Colin. And my first question was, has DK opened the show 3 weeks in a row that we've been watching this?
Yeah, I think so. And I also I was like you. I was like we've seen the Gallows Black Taurus match. We've seen the Crazy Steve Carl Anderson match. Now we're getting the tag match. Now we just need a female to come in so we can get the 3-on-3. We can get the 6-man.
Obviously. So you would think they could slide this entire program over 1 week. Like we should have had a single, if you wanted to do it, which I don't agree with, but let's just say you're going with that. Singles match on Impact, on Rebellion tag team match. But this match isn't getting a big blow off. It seemed like it was just here to get the Good Brothers a win, and we don't care. So I don't care. And because it's the Good Brothers, I don't care. Let's talk about this match. Now, I quizzed you last time about what's a chin lock for. Okay, so I'll ask you again, and you only get one chance this time. Okay, what's the chin lock for, Colin?
So I said rest hold last time. A transition move.
No, that was your second strike last time. So you've struck out already. This is a one swing and one miss. No, the chin lock is for the non-existent audience to get up off their hands and clap and get behind the person in the chin lock. That's what it's for.
It's not for resting.
You know what? If it's the Good Brothers, it is for resting.
They're blown up within the first.
But they're not. But they're not resting, because that's what I'm saying. So Carl Anderson is working another chin lock in this fucking match, okay? And he's really just cinching it in with the facials and just like really working the chin lock. Which when I see people doing that, I think a lot of people would be like, "Wow, look at the intensity that he's showing." When I see that, I'm like, "Wow, what a fucking bum." Like, how boring. A chin lock. You're trying to make a boring move exciting. You can do any move you want. This isn't real. You can do literally any move that you want. And you chose a chin lock, and now you're trying to get people hyped up for it. Then you tag in your stupid partner, and he comes in and slaps on that chin lock. It's like a rib. You know, it's like, you know how these guys make fun of wrestling all the time? Like with their, talking shop and just making fun of old school. Like, this is what they're doing. Like, they're ribbing people like me by working these chin locks in these matches where there's not a single person in the audience. You know what I mean? And that's fine if that's funny to them. It's their match. They're the artists. They can paint whatever picture they want. But it sucks. Then they get a cold ass tag for Steve, who's immediately cut off, So it's like,
that was not how cold was that tag?
It was the coldest. The whole match sucked. It's basically like, can you imagine going over this match in the back is like, okay, Steve, and then your comeback is I kick you in the stomach. Okay, like that's your comeback. You know what I mean? And they go over anyway, like almost immediately afterwards. So I already talked about the psychology of the match with Taurus on Hardcore Justice, like how it made no sense of like, You would think you'd want to showcase this guy. He's on his excursion. Just give him a little something, shine him up, and then Luke Gallows goes over, and the Good Brothers look tough or whatever. They beat Taurus. You didn't look like you beat anybody. You just look like you took liberties on a guy that's dressed like a bull. Like, you should feel sympathy for this man. Like, oh, this poor man, he thinks he's a bull. Why are you being mean to him? We have sympathy for Taurus because he's just getting beat up. There's no threat of danger for the Good Brothers here in these matches with Decay. It's a clown and a bull and a zombie girl, and there's no threat whatsoever. They just get steamrolled by these two guys. So that's a trash match that we had to watch, and then we got to hear them. Like, now we have to hear them on the microphone. That's what we got to do. The NXT women's division has better tag matches than this. I miss the NXT women's tag team division, the newly formed with the belts and everything.
Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae tag match right now.
Yeah, because there's a big difference. I'd rather watch somebody like Indy Hartwell that's not good at wrestling try to have a good match than watch somebody that's decent at wrestling have a boring match. Well, Johnny Wrestling.
Johnny Wrestling.
Johnny Queen.
Well, they did use this time for their promo to call out Finjuice. And, maybe, and this is some Light the Fuse booking, this is some AEW stuff, maybe, just maybe, the Good Brothers are going to win the TNA or the Impact Tag titles back from Finjuice. The Bucks will have the AEW title, and maybe we'll see some kind of Bucks souring with the Good Brothers over Kenny Omega, and we might get the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks for title for title. Who knows? I was just kind of I wrote that in my notes as maybe possible booking, because I don't think there's ever really been a Good Brothers versus Young Bucks match. Not to my knowledge, I believe.
Yeah, not to my knowledge, although I'll admit I have not been following their careers so closely that I would know. But I just that there's nothing wrong with booking towards that. But what's annoying me is what's in front of me. I can't review what may happen. I have to review what I watch.
What you watch.
And this just sucked. Like, I can see the logic behind their stupid logic behind it. Like, we'll have a mini program with Decay. We'll get the Good Brothers some good wins, and then it'll hype everybody up for their match with Finjuice. But I mean, without Finjuice being there and with them mailing in their promos, literally, like, I'm not that excited for it. I don't care if Finjuice keeps those belts or if they lose them or whatever. Those are New Japan guys. So we all know that eventually it's not, the belts are going to go back to where they belong. So a lot of people are, they're excited at the prospects of, the Forbidden Door or, like these companies working with each other. And it should be a big thing and it should be a good thing. But everything that they've done is nothing I want to see or really anybody else. It's like the bar's been so lowered that people accept anything, if you're a starving man and it's the Eddie Murphy bit about, if you're starving and someone gives you a cracker, he's like, oh, that's the best cracker I ever had in my life. That's what it is. The bar's so low. Meanwhile, over on A&E, we're showing a biography of Steve Austin, reminding us of, a different time when people actually gave a shit about this.
The better times of wrestling, when wrestling was selling out in less than 20 minutes and everybody had a sign in the crowd.
Yeah. So, bottom line is this segment was garbage. After this,
treated to a long, very long Rebellion Impact.
Yeah, this is where the roster gives their predictions for who's going to win between Rich Swann and Kenny Omega, and my favorite part of this particular one, of which I think there was at least 3, perhaps 4. Different roster prediction vignettes, right? Is James Storm, the genius James Storm, has this gem that he likes to share with us. Never doubt the underdog. No, James, always doubt the underdog. That's what makes them the underdog. If they're not the underdog and you don't doubt them, that's called a lock. Okay, it's just little betting terminology for you. Okay, James. Um, fuck. Yeah. So then, not only that, we follow this with a hype package for the Violent by Design match that they've got coming up at Rebellion against Team Homeless. So, were you hyped? Did the package work?
No, I actually
Oh,
skipped the package. Because I was, we got the Violent by Design Eddie Edwards stuff at the end of the show tonight. So yeah, I really didn't. I didn't watch the package. I'm watching the episode to get hype for what we got going on here. I don't need
exactly.
45 minutes of you hyping up your pay per view. I feel like this. Remember how you used to watch like Sunday Night Heat going into like the pay per view. That's what I felt like this was, where it was just like constantly Matt Striker's like, pick up the phone, call now, make sure you order your pay per view, like da 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 da. And
Yeah.
and he even dropped.
9 days from tonight.
He dropped one of those when he said 3 sleeps from tonight.
He said
Three,
three. He said three sleeps like 5 or 6
yeah,
times.
3 sleeps away from rebellion. 3 sleeps away from rebellion. Well, thank you, Tony Khan.
9 days from tonight.
Thank you, Matt Striker Khan, for
And I'm gonna
this gem that we have.
and I'm just gonna say too, like one of the mild pleasures that I was thinking that we'd get when we were told that we had to do the Impact attack was that we'd get a little bit of Tony Khan since he's been showing up with those paid ads and stuff. And then he stopped doing that like right when we took over. Like no more Tony and Tony. Remember it was like both of them, the Tonys were there. And we got to see all those promos. I could file an injunction, but I'm not going to do that. We didn't get to see that. We haven't got to see any of that. We just saw him looking like he's part of Team Homeless at that press conference from the previous week.
Oh, I was looking through for some news for us to talk about, and I can't remember what site I was at, but I had seen an article where Tony Khan had come out and was reasoning why he doesn't reveals why he doesn't promote Impact on AEW Dynamite. Let's see. I got that pulled up. People have asked me why I haven't gone out and spent a lot of money promoting Impact. It's when I've gone to Impact, I've had to pay to buy ads. It's on Impact. Kenny Omega will be wrestling for the Impact World title. It's possible Rich Swann could be AEW World Champion next week. It's also quite possible Omega will be Impact World Champion. It'll be interesting, he said. So he really doesn't even say anything.
You can't. No, Colin, you cannot read transcripts of Tony Khan interviews. You have to hear Tony Khan saying it.
I gotta be like on Adderall or something.
That's the magic. But even that, you can't. It's all him. Yeah, you can't recreate it. You can't. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have said it.
You shouldn't have said it.
Exactly. So yeah, we haven't got it. We haven't got enough Tony Khan since we've been covering Impact, but that's fine. And just to talk about these hype packages and these other these vignettes and stuff, like you should do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but just for an example, like there was 2 times in this show where D'Lo and Matt ran down the entire Rebellion card. You shouldn't have to do that part twice. Like it's one thing if you're padding out the show, if you're padding it with new material. So like one way to do that is, I have no problem with the fact that they're going around asking people, despite dumbasses like James Storm, like if you're asking people like doing that kind of a thing, that's okay because that's new content. You're asking different people. It's their chance to cut like a short promo on the situation. Now the fact that nobody did anything like super great, I mean, there's that, but this isn't meant to be like you're not supposed to be Ric Flair when they're asking you who's going to win between Kenny and Rich. That's not the point of that. It's really there to just build a little hype for it, but really it's there to pad the show out because they don't have enough content for the show. So all I'm saying is just don't repeat the content. Run down the card one time. And they did it at the end and at the beginning. They should have just done it at the end. Like if you weren't sure what's on the show, last thing you're going to see is them running down the card and be like, oh, okay, that seems like enough good matches. If you do it at the beginning and don't do it again, you run the risk that people have forgotten by the end of the show what the matches are going to be. So that kind of thing. So that's just a little bit of a formatting issue. It's okay to pad out the show as long as the the content is new, or it's a creative way to pad out the show. But when you're just showing the same stuff over and over again,
That's basically what they were doing. Like you said, they ran down the whole of the card here at the beginning, and then almost like after every match, it was promo package, vignette, them running down the card, talking about the matches. I mean, it was they. You can only hit somebody over the head so much with advertising and stuff like that before they just zone out, or before, like me, they've already heard enough. They just skip all the promo package at the beginning of the night, anyways, because I don't want to see promo package. I want to see wrestling. I'm tuning in to Impact Wrestling to watch wrestling and to watch a go home show, not see hype video for your pay-per-view that's coming up. Like that, there's plenty of time for that you can have spared in between. But like I said, almost it felt like 45 minutes of an hour and a half show was filler of vignettes and them trying to promote for Rebellion. And yeah, so we go back. Oh no,
I was just gonna say we've gotten our point across. Let's not do what they do and just keep repeating ourselves.
No, let's go back to the ring as we have Susan with Deonna Purrazzo versus Tennille Dashwood, accompanied by Caleb with a K. Now, Vet, would you ever catch yourself wearing some pants like Caleb with a K had on tonight?
No. What did he have again? I just remember he had the neck brace.
He had the neck brace. He's got the streak in his hair. He had like this black shirt with some colors, and then he had the two-tone, one leg was yellow, the other leg was green style pants. Just taking pictures of Tennille. Would you wear something like that?
Now, are you asking me in the context of, am I doing Caleb with a K? Am I doing his gimmick, or are you asking me would I wear those in the streets?
Would you wear those in the streets?
Absolutely not. Moving on.
So Susan, actually, hang on. Tennille Dashwood actually goes over in this match, but there were some fun parts about this match that I liked about this. I like Susan kind of going after Caleb with the "Are you recording me?" Like, stop recording me, and then she pulls her phone out and like starts recording him too. Like, there's that little bit. Now, it did get a little old in the match. I felt like there were times where Caleb's trying to get snapshots of Tennille. And she's trying to be all like posed and sexy. Now, there should be ways that they could work that into the match, like have her in like a chin lock near the ropes, and she's posing, being pretty, and Caleb's like taking the pictures. Like there's ways that they can sprinkle that out. It just seems like when they do those spots with Caleb during the match, it pulls away from the match. It's not like his parts are during the match. It just really pulls away from the match.
Well, Luke Gallows came up to Tennille earlier in the day and said, "Hey, Tennille, we're going to be working the chin lock tonight, so try to stay away from that, okay?" That's probably what happened there. So the sound that signifies Susan coming to the ring is, "Trust me, I'm Susan." What the fuck? Right. What kind of catchphrase is that?
Because they have to trust that she's not Su Yung. Because Su Yung can just appear at whatever. Like we saw last week where Susan was coming out, she got attacked by Su Yung, and then Su Yung came out.
Well, yeah, but why did somebody need to get a drop of that to put in right before her entrance music?
I don't know. They just want you to make sure that it's Susan and it's not Su Yung coming out.
I kind of don't trust that it's Susan if she keeps insisting it in that particular.
Well, if she wears those wrestling shoes with that pantsuit ever again, I was like, what kind of shoes does she have? Is she wearing slippers? And then they were like really like weird wrestling shoes, like amateur wrestling shoes.
The amateur wrestling shoes, not even the boots. I always thought it would be cool to, if you wrestle in dress clothes, but you have like patent leather boots, it just looks like dress shoes.
Yeah, they do look like dress shoes.
But if you're just gonna wear like Asics or Atomics, you're an idiot.
There was another part of this match that kind of got to me. Commentary was Plug and Rebellion during a part of the match where the two performers were having a back and forth dialogue in the match. And it seemed like that was something that we wanted to hear between Tennille and Susan. They were kind of going back and forth, but we got D'Lo and Stryker again, Plug and Rebellion, and talking over plot points in the match, which it almost seems like they don't care about the match. It's all about Plug and Rebellion.
Which that's exactly it. And that's an issue that, those guys should know better than, whoever's producing them should know better than. And this is like, I'm sure this is canned commentary, like, or it's commentary over the canned match. Like they're watching videotape and doing commentary, right? So they probably have to sit there. If you think about Impact and their taping schedule, They probably tape like 4, 5, 6. I don't know how many shows they do at once, but you can imagine that when D'Lo and Matt show up for work, they sit down and they do commentary over all of it. So if they're doing the commentary over the matches in the order that they were, supposed to appear, then by this time they've probably completely mentally checked out and do not care anymore. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so, anyways, back to this match.
So, well, I had also one more note because I
Okay.
actually, I took notes. So
He has
I
notes
didn't
this time,
rely
guys.
on Mike Killam. Tennille really tried to kill. Well, actually, sorry, I wrote Tennille tried to make Susan the undead bride by dropping her on her head when she did like the weird like throwing her into the corner move, and she just landed Susan right on her neck and upper back area. Just not safe at all.
Yeah, she wanted to do that turnbuckle suplex thing, but
Didn't
I mean,
suplex at all.
no one cares. Yeah, don't. I'm disappointed. It's almost like, you know, I haven't seen Tennille regularly for like years. I don't know how many years, but it's been a measure in years, and she seems to have regressed since I saw her last. Like, this is not Takeover versus Asuka, Tennille Dashwood. This is something completely different.
Well, in that instance, though, do you think Asuka played a lot more in making her look good? In that
Well,
match than
no,
did for
she
herself?
can't. Asuka can't make Tennille Dashwood's footwork and speed any different.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, it's not the psychology of the match; it's the mechanics, right? That's what I'm talking about. These girls had a bad match, but it's not only bad because of the entire story and the psychology and stuff. It's bad because they're bad, like slow, like to the point, or like you're talking about with this move that was careless, or just just plain sloppy. And I haven't, like, is Susan's gimmick that she's the shits? Because if that's, like, as a wrestler, like, is she not supposed to be good? Is she such a good worker that she's working that she's bad at it? Because that's next level skill, but somehow I don't think that's the case. Somehow I think that all of her, all of her terrible wrestling is just because that person is not that good. So I've only seen her really work as Su Yung before. This is my first like Susan match.
Yeah.
So I don't remember Su Yung being that bad, but she was also more of a gimmick. So it's not like you really have to, you don't have to do these. You're not trying to do these intricate reversals. You know what I mean? Like the short arm reversals and stuff that they're trying to do, but they do it at like half speed, and they take like 20 steps to run across the ring. When you should be able to, a woman should be able to stride across the ring in about 4 to 5 steps. And it takes them like 6 or 7 or 8 because they're just taking these little pitter pattering steps and they're slow.
Yeah. Speaking of, there was a part in the match, and it kind of made me write down the thing about the selfies with the action is that she was standing on the outside. Tennille was on the outside, and Caleb was like doing. It looked like they were about to take a selfie or something like that. And then Su Yung came running over to the ropes to like interrupt it, and then it was just really slow. Like it just seemed like she like slowed down. Tennille was slow to interact. Like it just the chemistry in this match just wasn't that great between these two. Which
It's,
the ending of the match and what happened after the match. I mean, it all pretty much was this match was set up to have again another face off with Deanna and Tennille facing off in the ring.
yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But I want to just put a button on my criticism with this. The people that have been listening to me on the Hameen Media Group since I've joined, you don't know me that well. You're getting to know me, but you may think that if I go after somebody or praise somebody else, that there's like some inherent bias. And I just want you to let everybody know that this is proof of I like Tennille. I'm a fan of Tennille. She seems really cool, and I thought she had something to offer the business. And she had a bad match here. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it for her just because I like her. If it's rotten, it's rotten. So I am fair. I just want to point that out. So this the heel to heel, if you will, cuts a promo on Deanna, also the heel. And then they play heel music, and then the heels don't touch or do anything heelish. Whereas everybody else, it seems like when we're watching Impact, this breaks down into a slapping or a fight or some things. But this heel versus heel setup that we just got, and neither one of them do anything. They just look at each other, talk, and walk. And Deanna just walks off after Tenille cuts a promo right in her face. So it's like,
Well, it's because
Okay.
EY came up to her in the back and was like, "Hey, later on in the main event."
hey, later on in the main event, I can't do it, Eric Young. That sounded like I don't know who that sounded like,
Yeah,
but sound like the old Battle Dome announcer.
yes.
So yeah, I mean this it's like this match, like you said, it was just to get to the real business, and then that sucked. So it's kind of like, what we were talking about with the Good Brothers getting to something with Finn Juice, but I mean it. I'm not seeing like a really a cohesive vision for the direction that these stories are going. I believe Big Ray promised us good stories that made sense and stuff like that.
Right
Were we
now,
not
it's not.
promised that on the air? I think we can. I think. Well,
I think we
that
were.
that
We had
episode
to
never
play it.
aired, but that episode never aired. That was the unaired episode that he promised us that. So no one knows what we're talking about. But I assure you that, and one day when Hameen Media Group has a new home on a podcasting platform that's more stable, and we can upload the archives of the stuff that we've been sitting on, and you'll get to hear Big Ray promise us good storylines that made sense when we start watching Impact. But as for now, you should probably hit the Tony Khan button that says you shouldn't have said it.
Then you shouldn't have said it.
Thank you.
So we after this Deanna and Tennille face off, we go into back-to-back promos. We start with Brian Myers, the weekend update.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Seth Meyers promo
We get
here.
Seth Myers versus Brian Myers here in the Myers poor Myers match. Come to find out, he's not blind anymore. He's got the eye patch is great. He's ready to roll. He's ready to make Broski a roster cut. Did you like the little bow tie that he put on the end of that? Especially with all it's funny that the Impact has these in the can, and then the week that they air them is like the week that the WWE's fired a bunch of people. Oh man.
Well, I mean, I don't remember. Did he request his release? No, he was cut, wasn't he?
No, I think both him and Broski were cut.
Yeah. So, but not at the same time, right? Because
No,
that
I
would
think
have
they
been
were
too obvious.
like different. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's what guys like him do. They like to take like inside shots with their future gimmicks, about what happened to them in the past, and that's fine. This promo, whatever it was, minute and a half, whatever. It's like this is like the bare minimum of what you expect from a professional wrestler in the year 2021. So, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything bad about it, but it's like I said, this is the bare minimum level. It should be, it's not any better. It's not going to get any better from this than this from Brian Myers, and hopefully and thankfully no worse. So we can just move on.
Yeah, that's true. And then we have a Sammy Callahan hacking into the feed and cutting a promo on Trey Miguel. And I guess I didn't know that they were having a last man standing match, but I guess he announced it in this promo that they're having a last man standing match. I don't know if it was said last week.
I think it was. I think
Okay.
it was.
I missed that. So Sammy and Trey are on course for a last man standing match, which I don't, knowing Sammy's past, like he should be the favorite. If we're doing gambling stuff, James Storm, I think Sammy Callahan would be the favorite over Trey Miguel in this match.
Well, I don't know. We'll talk about Trey Miguel's training in a little bit.
Yeah. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Did Sammy Callahan start the hacker gimmick when he was in Solomon Crow in NXT?
Yes, he was supposed to be like the hacker as
But
Solomon Crow.
but
Yes.
what I mean is, did he do it ever before that? I guess
No,
on
I
the
don't
indies,
think
there's
so.
no place for you to really get that kind of a gimmick over, right? You kind of need somebody with a production truck, right? Okay, well, he's still doing it, so hey. Cool.
Yeah, I don't think he's done it in a while though. That's the thing. I think he had moved away from kind of the hacker thing and was just because I think it was the Ohio versus everybody for a while too. Like when the Chris brothers were there, they kind of moved away from that and he joined up with them. So he might be going back to the hacker gimmick, or he might just be falling back on some old tropes that he's used in the past. To, oh, these people will remember this about me, kind of thing. We go back to the ring. We have Mahabali Shira, who has recently made up, or well, Rahit Raju has recently made up with Mahabali Shira,
Oh,
and
that's nice.
he comes out to the ring, a former X Division champion, and we've got Jake something versus Mahabali Shira. Now, Rohit gets the distraction, which, of course, if Rohit's going to be out there, he's got to make amends to his boy Mahabali Shira for whatever wrongdoings and injustices they had between each other. He climbs up on the apron, distracts the ref right as Jake something's about to like get this win, and Mahabali Shira is able to overcome, hit him with the finisher. I forgot what it was called, and they called it on.
You forgot it? You
I didn't
forgot?
write it down. I didn't write it. It's like something in the air or something like that. Like
it was like D'Lo saying nothing for like the entire length of this match, and then he hits the finish, and D'Lo's like, "Oh, Sky High."
yeah, there we go. Sky High. There we go.
Yeah, it's his move. D'Lo, Sky High. You don't remember? That's his move.
Yes, the Sky High. Wait,
The Sky High?
He's not wearing a chest protector.
That was the lowdown. You're confusing the lowdown with the Sky High. Yeah. Yeah, shut the fuck up.
With this.
And you reference Sunday Night Heat. How could you forget anything about D'Lo Brown? You're talking. He was a staple of Sunday Night Heat. So there's a lot of titty meat in this match.
A lot of titty meat. This is a match that Vince McMahon would be jerking off in his office. But I don't see how Jake something nor Mahabali Shira didn't catch the eye of someone at the Performance Center with like how the physique of these two guys. And not to say anything about steroids or anything, but they look natural for the most part. For the most part.
No, they don't.
I said
they
for
don't.
the most part.
Not even the most part. Not even the least part. There's nothing natural about anything that these guys are doing. But so for example, like Mahabali Shira doing crowd appeals to an empty building. That's also not natural.
They've got he thought there was a crowd because they're piping in the crowd noise. It's you're in the heat of action. You hear people chanting. You don't think anything.
I don't think they pipe in the crowd noise in the actual. That would be weird.
Have
But
you been there? No, for sure.
I don't know. But that's why I said I don't think. Right? I said I don't think. I left myself that out. So for the most part, have you watched Ring of Honor since the pandemic's been on?
No.
Okay. You have, however, watched several UFCs.
Yes.
Okay. It's basically the same thing.
Oh yeah, I love the UFC being totally quiet where you don't hear anything. It reminds me of Tough. I used to always like the Tough matches where you hear like the coaches and everybody yelling at them. Yeah.
Right. So even though it's an empty room, it's not really an empty room, but kinda. Well, Ring of Honor does not have fake crowd noise, but it is very clearly a warehouse that they're, wrestling in. And they probably have, the commentary over the videotape thing. No, I think they actually have Ian and Caprice there. Because, like, sometimes you can see them in the background, like when there's a certain camera angle or something. So they're at least in the building. But I'm not going to tell you go and watch, like, a whole episode of Impact. I just happened to... I saw that there was a match between some guy with some boring name like Brian Johnson and Danhausen. I don't know if you've seen Danhausen before.
Yeah, I know who Danhausen is. Yeah, Danhausen's hilarious.
Yeah, so I wanted to watch that match, right? And I've watched Ring of Honor, like, for a while. I just haven't, kept up with it very recently since I've been doing this. But, I mean, there's nothing wrong with their presentation of it. It's very reminiscent of combat sports like UFC, running in these, empty venues and stuff like that, or their Fight Island or whatever it is. Like, that's how it should be. But with Impact, they can't even consistently get the sound of the crowd right. They try to do like little spikes, like when somebody's supposed to pop for something, but it's like the timing is off. And again, this is a taped show, so you can keep doing it till you get it right. And like, that's the take you went with. Like, you were fine with that, just letting that go out like that, right? It's just, I don't get it. I think it's so clearly not the kind of atmosphere that is going to have, like, even at the best case, like the Impact Zone wasn't that the fans were always just kind of like pretty sedated compared to a lot of other places. Because how can you? It's like, it's just a free ride at the park. It's not like people really paid to see it, so you can't be that excited about it. I get it, but like this fake crowd noise is just, it's too much. Like, I get the WWE having to do it. They have like some sort of, they have a standard to uphold, right? So it's almost like they're forced to do it, because Raw was weird with no noise, but I argue it's equally weird but just different with noise, like crowd noise, I'm saying. So I don't know. They got to figure it out. But Ring of Honor figured it out. So I would just encourage you, Colin, to check out a match or two, just so you can get like a contrast, and like, this is what Impact could be doing. And I don't think they always had the fake crowd noise. I think that's something they added along the way, right? I think when they first started doing tapings, but it's too distracting. Let's move on.
Well, I think too, with Impact, this next set of tapings, they could have crowd, with kind of things being lax, but they're filming in Canada, aren't they?
I think so.
So it might be worse.
Anthem is a Canadian company.
Yeah, so they may want to try to get down to Florida and try to record and film these, so they can have somewhat of a crowd, or have people in the building, so that they don't have to continue to use the fake crowd noise. But that probably won't happen. They'll probably just shoot it up in Canada.
Yeah.
Here we go. We've got after this match, if you don't have anything else about Mahabali Shera and Jake something,
less said the better.
We go to our Trey Miguel promo, and he's at a wrestling gym. He's going over, being very, very passionate. At one point in time, he says he is going to tear the legs off of Sami Callihan and post them out in the lobby as like a trophy, so that Sami Callihan can't stand anymore. And then we go into our montage.
Approaching to give it your best, and you've got to reach your prime. That's when you need to put yourself to the test and show us the passage of time. We're gonna need a montage.
You don't bother talking over that. That is incredibly loud. No one can hear you. Yeah, so I'm sure that the guys at Suck My Balls Pod will be a big fan of that. Shout outs to DVDA for that montage song.
Yes.
I love DVDA. So, all right, that's enough. Cut.
Sorry, I'm jamming out to montage. I love this Trey Miguel montage.
Did you really?
I did.
Or do you love the Trey Parker montage?
I love the Trey Parker montage.
Okay. They used that in Team America, right?
Yeah.
But they also used it in a South Park episode.
Yeah,
that's a weird cross universe thing that they did. Like, they normally don't do.
Spoof that they did, I think. Whatever one of those cold movies were.
Pizza, French fries. Yeah, I should be on Suck My Balls Pod. Fuck those guys. No, I'm just playing. I love you guys.
I'm sure he would let you on if you just talked to Matt.
No, I'm sure. I really don't. I really don't care to do it. But yeah. Who is this guy that Trey Miguel's talking to?
I have no clue.
I just have in my notes. I just have Trey and 3 question marks vignette. I don't know who this guy is. Is it his dad or
cool beard thingy?
I was like, is that Jay Briscoe? I don't like. No, he's not Jay Briscoe. I didn't know who this guy was. Anyways, but yeah, so you mentioned the thing about ripping Sammy's legs off. So that's like that's what we call making promises you can't keep, right? Like it's one thing if a heel threatens to do something to you and then they don't end up doing it. Probably because, the good guys will win in the end, and also because they're liars, right? But if a babyface promises to do something and they don't do it, that's bad for them. So don't say you're going to rip somebody's legs off if you're not going to do that. This isn't like Saw or something. You're not going to do it. So,
Well, see, if it was Saw, he would rip your legs off and give you some kind of like moral education or something about your life.
Yeah.
Like Sammy Callahan, I'm gonna rip your legs off unless you change.
Right. Yeah. Or like if you don't do something, if you don't let me win this match, your legs will, your legs will be removed. Yeah. So, and on that same note about like a baby face looking bad. So in this training montage, we see, all kinds of stuff. Like there's kettlebells in there, and there's some lucha flips that he's practicing.
Battle ropes.
And
the battle ropes.
Absolutely, yeah. There's battle ropes. Absolutely no punching or kicking. Well, there was one drop kick, but I mean, for a last man standing match, which we do know that this is going to be, I just don't know if like hanging leg raises are the sufficient training, to be able to go in there with a madman like Sammy Callahan. I don't know if like your hip flexor muscles and your abs are what's going to get you through this test of grit and endurance.
So what you're saying is they should have had somebody like giving him chair shots and like aluminum bat shots to the head to really like toughen his back and his head up for this match that he's going to have with Callahan.
That's yeah. Please, why not? Why not? It's Impact. They obviously don't care. So just why not? But more realistically, how about just some bag work or something to make it seem like you're trying to go in and fight this guy, or grappling stuff. Instead, he's like flipping off the ropes. So in this last man standing match, it's probably going to take place. A decent chunk of it's going to be outside the ring. So what good is like flipping off the ropes with lucha arm drags if there's not going to be a ring?
Because he's going to lucha arm drag off the boxes in the back, or do a 450 splash off the announce desk or something. Like
well then we got to see him jumping off a box in the montage or an announce desk in the montage, because you got to be ready for anything. But he's just sitting there with kettlebells and battle ropes, and it's just this is stupid. I'm just saying it. Like, whoever put this shit together, I don't care who it is. I don't care if I know you or we're friends. You're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. This is bad. It's bad. There's no other way to say it than that. This is bad. That's not, the best thing about this was that you played the actual montage song from Stone and Parker. That's the best thing about this whole thing. And if nobody watches our review, they won't even know that. Can you imagine people watching Rebellion not even knowing that we made a totally awesome joke on our review show about this episode? Can you believe that? There's going to be people out there
watching us live got to see that awesomeness of the montage there. We go back to the ring. We've got a Rich Swann in-ring promo preparing us again for Rebellion in 3 sleeps.
Well, we almost got one, but then what happened?
And then Callis and Omega interrupt.
Who?
Don Callis, the Invisible
Don Callis
Hand,
and
Kenny Omega. Omega.
That guy, the AEW champion. Okay.
Do I have to?
No, just all right. I'm sorry. No.
So, for those who did enjoy this, if you would like to have more of a face-to-face with Don Callis and Rich Swann, if you go over to Stevie Ray TV, Stevie Ray, formerly of Harlem Heat, legendary wrestler, legendary tag team wrestler, he knows how to fucking do a hot tag. I know that man does. He sat down and mediated Don Callis and Rich Swann. So go out, check that out. That just adds a little bit more content to the show. I haven't checked that out yet, but I'm definitely want to go back and see it.
I regretfully have not checked that out either, only because I literally had no time to check it out.
Yeah, it came out at like 10 o'clock last night. So definitely go check that out. Our very own MSG put that together. You know, we're silently partnering with Impact here in the background with a lot of this stuff with Matt working hard doing this production stuff for
I
these
want
guys. So,
I want to say something real quick because I don't want to forget. But if you don't, if you're like on the Russo brand and you're not listening to Black and White with Stevie Ray and Vince sitting down and talking about things, you are missing out.
yeah,
Like you are
I've heard that great
serious.
show.
You are 100%. You are missing out. I don't care to get into, talking about things outside of wrestling or the state of politics in the world or the current social climates and stuff like that. I just don't feel like I want to do that on my wrestling review show. And I don't know how many people really care to hear that. I know Big Ray likes to talk about those kind of topics, and he and Ben were talking about, the verdict and everything earlier on the Next Level thing. And I just don't really want to go into that. But people need to hear what a guy like Stevie Ray is saying, because he's absolutely bringing it in a way that I don't really see how anybody could argue with. Like it's not like a question, But I just want to shout out that show. In addition to the cool stuff he's doing, like the face to face thing. But definitely check out Black and White, because it's a necessary thing for everybody to hear, especially these days. You're not going to hear me talk about that kind of stuff, but just know that Stevie Ray speaks for me. So that's where that's at. But anyways, let's get back to this. So Rich Swann almost got to do a promo, but it didn't last too long before he got interrupted, right? And then this Omega and Callis thing, it's kind of like, it's the same stuff they've been doing. It's kind of lame until finally Moose, finally,
Moose.
like, been waiting 3 episodes in for us, and we're, finally get some Moose. This is one of the drawbacks of multiple taping schedules, because you're not going to see every single person every single week. Unfortunately, I've seen Eddie Edwards fat in a t-shirt for like 3 weeks straight, but I've seen only one Moose
versus the Good Brothers for 3 weeks.
but one Moose, right? And then he shows up looking like a million, perhaps $5 to $10 million here. And Rich still looks homeless, but is there a story behind Rich Swann's hair?
I just think he just doesn't care.
I know, but like he's had the same level of not caring since he's been on
In
205
the cruiserweight,
Live
yeah.
and MLW, and it's the same haircut. It's like you're not poor anymore. That's like that haircut looks like I'm saying you look like a homeless person because that's what a person that's not able to care for their hair looks like. It's look like Samuel Jackson and the Caveman's Valentine, only not that nice. You know what I mean? So like, that's cool up to a point, but now as the Impact Champion, I would like to see him have the same basic hairstyle, but just nicer, like nice braids or whatever, or dreads or whatever he wants to do, but something to show like some sort of like an elevation, I guess. You know what? Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
I get it. It's invest in your character and your look a little bit. Like how you said, Moose came out. He looks like $1 million. He looks like he's, former professional athlete. This dude looks like he should be next to, he should be the one going against Kenny Omega, representing Impact versus AEW and not necessarily Rich Swann. But this could open that up for Moose to somehow take the title, or Rich loses to Kenny, and then Moose is like, see, I told you, now it's my time. Now I'm going to be the one going against Kenny. And we actually kind of get a guy who has that superstar feel going against another person in the superstar that is Kenny Omega.
Yeah, that'll never happen. I don't see anybody in the
You
elite
have to keep doing this.
I don't see anybody in the elite putting a guy like Moose over. I mean, come on. Look at them and look at him. They feel so threatened by him. They would never allow anything like that to happen. So while that would be totally cool, it's just look at who we're talking about. So But anyway, back to Rich Swann. Let's talk more about how he's homeless. Like that, he's wearing a Rebellion T-shirt, which like obviously he could have found
Free
that,
t-shirt
right?
out of
It
that,
didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, free T-shirt. It's whatever. So yeah, I was like, and so I would just like to see like a little bit. Everything else about Rich Swann is fine. He's undersized, but these days so is everyone. You can't really, and he's fine on the mic, but they're not letting him. I haven't heard him do like one real promo since he's been here, like from start to finish. It's him getting interrupted or him just sitting there while Kenny Omega talks boringly and then slaps him in the face. Like, I'm not seeing enough of the guy that's supposed to be the face of your company. No one asked you to put the belt on him. You decided to do that. So, why don't you let him be the face of your company somewhat? Instead of throwing him in these weird tag matches and, just getting basically humiliated by everybody else. It's giving them way too much credit to say that this is all just a genius setup so that he actually becomes the AEW champion. But I'm just saying, like, I just want to see Rich Swann with a new hairdo of his choosing. I'm not going to tell him how to do his hair. And I'd like to see him dress like in street clothes, like a little bit nicer. He doesn't have to wear full suits like Moose, but he shouldn't look like he really did put the whole thing together at Goodwill, I don't think either. At least not now. That's worked for him up to now because he's got a good story about, really being homeless, I think, right? And an addict and like his parents dying, or I don't remember everything about the story, but it's a cool story how he's got to where he is from now. And I don't think you have to forget about where you came from, but I do think that, a lot of people would like to show that they've improved their station in life in a visible way. It's a cosmetic business. I say it the same way about anybody that's carrying a few extra pounds, or if their ring gear is shitty or something like that. It's all about those optics. So that's, and then you stand next to Moose and it's even more, like, is it funny to say, I just had this note here also. Is it funny to say the wrestling god Moose? Like, it's just kind of a fun, like,
Moose. Wouldn't it be more like a wrestling moose?
Yeah, the wrestling moose. He's a wrestling moose. It's like a wrestling bear, but a moose.
So when do we get the triple threat of Kenny Omega versus Moose versus JBL for rights to call themselves a wrestling god?
Well, that's also not going to happen. That door is really forbidden.
That's like, definitely a forbidden door.
Super forbidden. Because I think JBL has like a Legends contract, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So he couldn't even freelance it if he wanted to. But we'll see. Never say never.
Never say never. Let's see. Oh, we've got two more matches on the card this evening. We've got Kira Hogan versus Jordan Grace. And Jordan Grace goes over here, but not after Fire and Flava jump in, start attacking her, really trying to take the 2-on-1 advantage, knowing that Jazz isn't there. Jazz is retired, but out of nowhere, Rachel Ellering hits the ring and saves Jordan Grace. And I think we have who Jazz has decided to choose as Jordan Grace's tag team partner going against Fire and Flava later on at Rebellion. Did you expect Rachel Ellering? Was this the reveal that you expected?
I don't know what I expected. But if I could just bring it all back to Moose for a second. How cool was Moose, man? Man, he looked cool, didn't he? And that promo, like the promo was like pretty good too. I really feel like it was very ominous, and it backed Rich Swann into a corner to where he's gonna have to look out for Moose if he doesn't get this job done right. All right, well, we'll talk about this now.
We don't have to talk about Jordan Grace. This is like the one part of doing Impact Attack that I don't like.
Well, I don't. The one part. Yeah. Here's the thing. We don't have to talk about her because nothing I have really has to do with her. 30 seconds into this match or so, I didn't time it, but around about that seems like under a minute. Matt Stryker literally asks D'Lo, "So what else is going on in Impact Wrestling?" So just to let you know the level of importance that this match has, if you think I'm joking, Just go load it up. Just go to the internet, find the thing, find this match. It's within the first minute, so you won't have to sit through much. Just he'll ask D'Lo. So what else is going on in Impact Wrestling?
That's
And
how I
D'Lo
felt when I was watching. When I was like, "Oh man, another Jordan Grace match. What else is going on?"
Yeah,
my
what
phone?
else? And D'Lo didn't even know how to react to that. He was like, and then he started to try to call the match because that's a weird position to be put in. So I don't know if Striker's ribbing D'Lo or all of us or what, but kind of anyway. So yeah, so Tasha just blatantly interferes for a DQ. So this doesn't really last long. This is more just like, what else? This match is only window dressing to set up an angle. So at some point, guys,
Is that the theme of this whole show? Like, I heard AEW had nothing but run-ins for every match. Was this show like each match was to set up something bigger? Like,
dude, it's not the theme of the show, it's the theme of the company.
yeah,
And the AEW thing, it's like they were saying that on Light the Fuse, like that's not every AEW show since the show came on. Since Dynamite came on, it's been everything getting half finished or interrupted, or it'll finish and then something happens at the end. Or as Jim Cornette calls it, the afterbirth. Every match has an afterbirth. But here it's like all these matches are just to set up an angle. The angle, what's an angle for? A match. If you at some point you're going to have a match and let that be the end. You can't just keep setting up angles. It's like a Russian doll of angles. You know what I mean? A matryoshka of angles. At some point, somebody's going to have to do something that means something here, right? So, but this is where you want to do it though. Like if you want to have some matches on TV that are just to set up another angle, but you should also have some matches that are just there to just be a match. Not even necessarily an exciting match or an important match, but like a get-over match, you know, a squash match or something, just to break it up and to fill time. Maybe it's not that exciting. Maybe no one would care to see a squash match, but I'm sure they would care to see it a little bit more than another Rebellion card breakdown or asking more people's opinions of who's going to win between Kenny Omega and Rich Swann. So that's just something to think about. But so here's another issue. You have Rachel Ellering coming here, so I guess she's a new talent coming to Impact. Maybe just for a couple shots, or maybe she's signed. I don't know. But here's the thing: she was the mystery partner, right? So now you're looking at like it's the lesser of two evils. You either blow the surprise for Rebellion by having her come out now, right? And then it's like, okay, well now, do I care who the mystery partner is at Rebellion? Because I already know. However, if you waited and didn't do this angle and left the mystery partner a mystery until Rebellion, then when Rebellion came on, you'd be wondering who the mystery partner is. And when it's Rachel Ellering, you're going to be like, oh, that's it? Because Rachel Ellering, with all due respect to Rachel Ellering, is not the kind of person that's going to cause one extra buy for Impact Plus or anything. She's not gonna draw anybody. So you can't market her as a mystery partner or as as someone to buy the show to see the match. So that's an unfortunate position to put her in. She shouldn't have had to been in that position. It's nothing to do with Rachel. It has everything to do with that spot. So that was unfortunate for her to be in there, but I'm Canada Spaceman with Rachel Ellering was a surprise. I forgot she existed. Didn't we all? So yeah, to answer Colin's previous question, no, I did not see this coming. But is what I'm saying makes sense? Like,
no, it does make sense.
Follow with that? How you see how that puts her in a corner? Like, now she's got to like light the world on fire because it's like, oh, just Rachel Ellering, who I don't, she didn't know that. She assumed that Canada Spaceman remembered her, and none of us did.
Well, Jazz hyped it up too. That's the other thing. It's like Jazz like made this huge hype up last week. Like, you're gonna like making it seem like Medusa's gonna come walking through the door, like some huge star. Like,
especially when you consider this too. you have just had these releases like you were talking about earlier. We just saw people get released from the WWE, like the Iconics, Mickey James, and a lot of other useful people, right? Well, the average person doesn't realize that this show was taped a couple weeks ago at best. So in their mind, they don't see why it couldn't be Mickey James. When they hear mystery partner, the average mark doesn't, they don't know this shit is taped. Yeah, so they're going to think like, oh, well, these people got released. Maybe it's them. Or they may not even follow the releases, but either way, like if you're not keeping up enough to know who got released from the WWE or that Impact tapes like 5 weeks at a time, you definitely don't know who Rachel Ellering is. So, I mean, but you would have to imagine that only the hardest of the hardcores would bother to watch Impact. I don't think that they have such a thing as a casual fan, right? So I don't know, but I like Rachel. Okay, she's never really blown my socks off with anything that she's done, but she's kind of young in the business, so she's got time to get better. And Impact is just as good a place as any to try to ply your trade. However, if we're looking at the quality that we saw earlier in that Susan and Tennille match, then good luck, sweetie.
What is it really that bad? Is it really
that match was maybe that they just had a bad, maybe they just had a bad match. It happens, but we'll see.
got crazy people just coming in my in the room right now.
Oh,
my kids are just coming in and out.
That's awesome, man. Well, you should ask them who they think is going to win between Kenny Omega and Rich Swann.
She would be like, "What?
Yeah, what?" And that's just as valid an answer as any of the ones we got from this episode. They also did, next up here, we had a flashback to last year's Rebellion. So I think that even though Thanksgiving is, several months away, we should all be thankful that we're not listening to the Matthewses and their shitty commentary, because no matter how bad of a job that Matt Stryker and D'Lo Brown do, it's just like heaven. It's just like relaxing on a soft, fluffy cloud compared to Josh Matthews' commentary, the worst professional wrestling commentator that has ever lived. And may I remind you that Mike Adamle existed. So there's that.
What about this here for you? For another one from Sonic the Hedge Rat. I enjoy talking wrestling, but no one in real life gives a crap about wrestling.
Sonic is right. I mean, when he's right, is right. And
he's very fast as well.
I don't ever talk to people about wrestling, really. And I certainly don't tell them I used to do it. God forbid.
Strangler Steve is the same way. Like, I'm like, Steve, do you ever put on your resume that you might have been a wrestler? He's like, I never talk wrestling to anybody that I work with.
No, and Strangler Steve, he actually made it to a certain level. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's but it is interesting because I do, you do pick it up here and there from people, and hearing what they think, that's kind of like, my ear to the streets type thing, where it's not hypothetical, where I'm hearing, I'm taking samples and extrapolating from those samples. Mm-hmm. So for example, just a big example, I had to stop watching Light the Fuse because I couldn't take Ben Hameen anymore. He's not anything like that, but without me being able to have a conversation, with it only being one-sided, and in the comments, nobody's listening to me. So I have more to say than I can just type into a YouTube comment. So I can't I just can't listen. I get too frustrated listening to him. But they were discussing about the WWE trying to break into certain markets, and it's we've been trying to break into the Japanese market, or we've been trying to break into the Indian market, or we're trying to, and I just want to say, dude, there is no trying. You're not trying to do anything. Though your market is already there. Your show is on TV in Japan. Your show is on TV in India. Your show is on TV in Mexico. They all watch the WWE. They know what it is. You know what I mean? So you have the market. What you don't have are stars. There's a guy I work with. He was a Indian guy. I don't know if he was exactly from India, but he's from that area of the world, that speaking area of the world, right? And they like wrestling there. So he watches WWE wrestling, but he doesn't give a fuck about Jinder Mahal or those kind of guys. He likes John Cena.
Yeah, they like John Cena, Triple H. They like the people
Yes.
that WWE promotes as stars. They're not like
So-
Mansoor. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's all kinds of people clamoring to watch a Mansoor over in the Middle
Dude,
East.
I like Mansoor more than fucking Saudi Arabia probably does. But that's my
Undefeated,
point.
by the way.
Undefeated. But so that's my point. Like when Ben tells that story and he scoffs at it about Triple H and the taxi cab getting the finish changed on the Jinder Mahal match, it's like, yeah, but you don't realize like those people really do in that area of the world. Triple H means more to them than Jinder Mahal, who's Canadian, by the way. So like what that it's about stars. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the real people, like, that's what they really care about. They latch on to certain people at certain times that they can get behind, and if we don't have one of those, they're not going to do it. So if you work backwards and you have a John Cena, you have The Rock and Stone Cold, and you have a Hulk Hogan, or before that you could have like a Bruno Sammartino or somebody that's that over, and those are just the WWF guys, let alone other people from other places, right? Like, but those are the ones that people latch onto and will follow, right? And that's what somebody's got to, we've really got to like, it's a dangerous thing because you can't have somebody that's then gonna be bigger than the company. You're afraid you're gonna lose them, but that's just a risk you have to take. You know what I'm saying? How does that apply to Rachel Ellering and and Josh Matthews' commentary? I don't know. But it was because of Sonic's comment about not talking to people in real life about wrestling. Yeah.
Well,
the real life people in wrestling, they want to see stars. They don't care where they're from.
Well, we've got two New Japan stars cutting a rebuttal promo here.
White boys.
As Finjuice accepts the challenge, rebuts back to the Good Brothers. Did this get you any more excited to see Rebellion or see the Good Brothers versus Finjuice?
No.
Okay, moving on. We're here. It's the main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have Eric Young and Violent by Design out here to face Eddie Edwards, who is out with. Can you come up with a team name for Eddie Edwards, Willie Mack, and those guys? Can you come up with a quick name?
For the team,
for Eddie Edwards and his group. Yeah, we've got Violent by Design.
I already told you what it was. You don't remember? I said it at the top.
No, Fat with a T-shirt.
No, that's just Eddie Edwards.
Oh, what did you say their group was at the time? I missed it.
Team Homeless.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes,
They all look homeless, right?
They do. Which I knew that watching this, the minute that all 8 men came out, that I was just like, well, I know how this show is going to end, with all 8 men fighting each other at the very end of the night. Like, it's just so obvious that this is what was going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
And,
So like more what we're talking about they like to build towards the team matches by having singles matches. We've seen this with the women's tag match. We've seen this with the Decay the Good Brothers. We've seen it, and we're seeing it here. So I don't really agree with that philosophy because, by the time we get to the match that was supposed to be the blow off, I've lost interest already. I've seen you guys fight. We're supposed to be having like, what is this? Is this a 4-on-4 or a 3-on-3 or what is it?
Much like Decay versus the Good Brothers, I think this is like, again, 3 weeks in a row that we've had Eddie Edwards and Eric Young or somebody from that collection go against each other in a match.
And what did we just watch at Hardcore Justice?
All of them.
Wasn't this the same thing? So now we want a rematch of that? What makes this match different? What kind of a match is this? Is this an elimination match? Like, It's not one fall. It's until all the teams are eliminated. Is this like? It's not going to be like in a cage or some weird thing like that. What's the stipulate? Why would we want to see this match again that we just saw? Right? I mean, am I wrong? So, like I said, I lost interest. This match in particular, it's like I wrote down while the match was going on. I already know VBD will go over here to have heat for Rebellion with the hope that Team Homeless will overcome, and supposedly the good guys will win, right? Like that would be the idea here. And sure enough, the violent guy wins with a small package. What else? Like, I mean, they're violent by design and they're crazy and they're going to hurt you, but small package, sure. And then everyone just starts brawling as Matt Stryker screams at us, and that's how we go off the air.
Was he screaming, 3 sleeps from tonight, 3 sleeps from tonight?
I think he did. I think he did say that. I think he also was just saying, I don't know, it was just very awkward and forced. So I don't know if Matt Stryker has just checked out, but I think he thinks this is as much of a rib as we probably do. But what else is he gonna, like?
I think he's biding his time for Azteca Underground to come back.
Yeah, and so one good thing is that we're gonna get for this. It seems like they really are. This whole thing was just trying to talk about this big title for title match that they're gonna have, and one of the things that we are gonna get that's a nice plus is Canadian hero Mauro Ranallo will be on the call for that match. But that's it. Just that match. Not the rest of the show. Not for Impact. So
yeah, I texted you like all excited that Mauro was going to be on the show, and you like took the pin and held my balloon in your hand, and you just said, "Pop."
Yeah.
I hate you for it.
Don't hate me. It was going to be true whether I said it or not.
Jay, you think Mauro likes coming back to Impact because JBL's not here to shit in his bag? Treat him like shit.
I mean, I don't know, man, but he's too good. He's too good for them. He is honestly too good for the WWE. He's like a real commentator, and he's a perfect example of how, whenever the WWE and all their phony shit that they try to do, like they wish they were Hollywood, they wish they were real, legitimate entertainment, whatever that means, and they want to make everybody feel smaller than them. And when guys like Mauro is legit, like they have to try to flex on guys like him, even though he's legit, like he calls real fights, and he's good at it. And he was good at calling wrestling. And I like all his rap references.
And that's the same with Pat McAfee, because I heard Ben talking about it, and it seems like they're already getting into McAfee's head about his performance, with how he was standing up and being genuine about that stuff. And like, he was like, I don't know if I should stand up or sit down. Like, it's just like the way that they kind of do that to you, I guess. They break you down.
Fucking, yeah, just pathetic. You don't have to take that for, like, that's the thing. He doesn't need them. Yes, Spaceman, he was perfect for NXT. That was the closest thing to legitimacy that the WWE is gonna get, right? Because Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon are far away from it. So that's where he belonged, but he just couldn't. He didn't want to do it anymore. And he's had his documented mental health stuff and everything like that. And so, I always just, like, much like John Cone, I wish the best for Mauro Ranallo, because he's always been a total professional. I've never got to meet him like I did for John Cone, but I mean, like, he's over with me. That's all I can say, bottom line. And so
he's back in Bellator, I want to say. I think he's back on the commentary in Bellator. But I wanted to make a point about Mauro is he gives it that big fight feel. Now, what did WCW used to do to give their matches, their main events, that big fight feel, during the mid to late 90s? What did they used to do, Vet? Do you remember?
Wait, you said the wrestlers from mid to late,
like when Nitro and during the Attitude Era wars, the Monday Night Wars and all that stuff. What did WCW do to give their matches that big fight feel?
They had Michael Buffer.
Exactly. So with Mauro, you get that big fight feel. I mean, throughout the 90s, you hear, "Let's get ready to." I'm not going to finish it because I don't want him to to sue me, but you hear that and you automatically like, no, it's not. Sorry, Canada Spaceman. It's not the announcer from the UFC. Michael is actually Bruce's brother. Michael was a boxing announcer. Bruce is the announcer in the UFC. Which
Right.
funny story about those two guys? They have the same dad, different moms, and uh, Bruce told the story on his show one day where he saw like he was watching TV and he saw Michael Buffer and he was like, Buffer, that's a really weird last name. Like, there's not too many people that have that last name. And then he looked into it and he found out that when his dad left his mom, I think, or one of them, it's like either his dad is they're half brothers basically, but now Bruce is the manager of Michael's whole like he manages Michael and everything. And it's funny that they're like the two best announcers in pretty much all of combat sports. The Buffers. They have the monopoly on that now.
Yeah, well, there's not much competition left. I mean, they kind of cornered the market. It was like Michael Buffer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Yeah.
That's it. And then Bruce Buffer came out of
Bruce,
nowhere, like,
yeah.
hey, like I yell things too. I'm gonna be a UFC announcer, I believe. And then that's how that went. So now you got those guys, but like,
I miss Gary Michael Capetta.
right? Well, he didn't do real sports, did he? But yeah, but whatever it takes, I'll take a little bit of Mauro Ranallo. I'll take a lot of Mauro Ranallo. I'll take as much as he's willing to give. But he is like Impact is like he is a little classy for that organization, but it is Canada based, and so is he. So I could see that.
So are we gonna get Nickelback?
No, they cost too much.
Cost
I
too much?
think
Oh,
more than a nickel for sure.
more than anything. Well, Impact probably won't get a nickel back on having them on the show at all. But Vet, do you have anything else about this show? Because I think that's pretty much it. Like we said, we have 3 sleeps until Rebellion this weekend. So make sure you get your sleeps in if you're going to check out Rebellion, because you're probably going to need a lot of energy to make it through this card, especially to get to the main event. If you're excited for Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann. Actually, it's not a Rebellion.
That's yeah, it is, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Is it a Rebellion?
Oh my God! How could you not know after all the packages and the rehashes?
Yeah, because
it's Omega, by the way. Omega.
They have so many like pay-per-views. Like they literally just had Hard to Kill last week. That's why I'm so confused.
Hard to Kill. Oh yeah, they were talking about like last week I talked about when they were running down that shitty programming that nobody wanted to watch, and it said like the Good Brothers would be doing like a Meatballs watch along or something, and then they did the same promo today. So was that promo for two? Was that promo for 2 weeks ago to now, or are they just doing it again? Are they watching Meatballs again? Or are they watching Meatballs 2? Like it seemed like the same exact programming for both weeks that they were trying to hype up. So at first I was like, did I hit the wrong episode of Impact? Did I mean to? Did I go back to last week's episode? I mean, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, like 2 guys whose sole thing is to watch this episode and talk about it, and we don't even know what's going on. Can you imagine like the fans just casually like they can't keep up with this?
That's why it's.
We didn't even. Spaceman said he was impressed by the Taylor Wilde commercial. We didn't even talk about it. I had a note though. I can prove it, but all it said was more Taylor Wilde hype. That's my note.
Return teaser right here.
Yeah.
Right here. So,
I mean, if you're into that, then that's where she's gonna be. But yeah, I did not like this show. The cracks are appearing in the foundation more and more the closer I look at it. So I feel like I was lied to, and Big Ray owes us an apology. And I'm also like, do you think I was? I said I was going to be harsh right at the top, and I certainly did not cut him any slack. But I mean, was anything out of line? I trust you to tell me, Colin. If I'm out of line, I want you to let me know. Like, hey, I think you're a little out of line.
No, I don't think that you're out of line with anything that you said. I mean, you've done the sport. You've trained. You've taught. You went to the Harvard of wrestling schools, the only accredited wrestling school in all of America. You went to it. So I would trust your opinion over a lot of people that have done this or have trained and stuff like that. So I don't believe that you've gone out of
Well, well,
off the edge or out of line or anything like that.
well. Rip Rogers named me the vet. I didn't name myself. So if that, whatever that counts for to anybody, but I
And
mean,
all
I'm
the
just
best nicknames are ones that you don't come up with yourself. So
yeah. You can't. Oh, you can't give yourself a nickname. It's not even allowed. I don't think. But yeah. So I just I have to kind of call this stuff out, and I'm sorry if it hurts anybody's feelings or if it burns any bridges or whatever. But I mean, you don't need to you don't need to have the pats on the back. You don't need the glad handing from me. This is, yeah, I'm not even gonna agree with that statement, but I think they're all tied for worst, to be honest.
they're all every promotion is time for
Cause no matter what, like, no matter what anybody says about the WWE and whatever they say, they're probably right. They have money and it looks like it. So at the very least, like, if everybody's storylines and characters and even wrestling matches are all crap, at least the WWE's got the tiebreaker with the money, right? So and they are also putting out content other than wrestling that you would like to watch. So if you
Ms. and Mrs.
I'm not gonna go ahead and say that one, although you are a connoisseur of the Ms. and Mrs.
Like the Marine?
So which no. I'm talking about the stuff like the Undertaker documentary, or these
New
the 20
Miz documentary
the
that's
20
coming out.
stop it. The 24s and the 365s, or all those extra supplemental shows that are put together by people that work there that aren't the people that have to run Raw and SmackDown and stuff every week. So like they do that at least, and you could watch all that, and that's much more entertaining than watching their actual weekly programming.
I need a WWE 24 on the Mrs. Dad.
Well, I mean, it's going to be better than some of these vignettes that we've seen on Impact since we've been watching. I'll say that for sure. Did you happen on speaking of that? Did you happen to did you happen to God. Did you happen to catch the Stone Cold A&E biography thing?
No, I've heard it's really good. I've heard like it's really, really good. Like people that don't watch wrestling would be like, if they can get caught to it, they'll enjoy the whole thing.
Okay. Well, you've heard that side of it. Now hear this side of it. I got through an hour. I could stand it for about an hour, and then I had to turn it off, and I just deleted it off my DVR. I couldn't take it anymore. Dude, yes, it was a rage. Like, I could not take any more of like, the WWE is so smug and proud of themselves whenever they tell the story about how Austin came up with the 316 promo or any of this. Like, it's just so sickening listening to Bruce Pritchard just sit there and tell that story like no one's ever heard it before, or like no one knows. And maybe if you're not a fan of wrestling, this would be a lot more interesting for you, because you may not know these little details. But for the people like us who have been wrestling fans of some description, however, extreme or casual, you're not going to see any, like, I was an hour in and I didn't know anything new. So I was just like, so I'm sitting here watching the WWE be proud of themselves for the stuff that they didn't even come up with. Like, they're the ones that came up with the Ringmaster. And then he tried to come and do this other stuff because they just gave up on him. You know what I mean? And then listening to them describe it, they make it sound like this was all their idea. So it just made me sick to my stomach knowing that culture there and those people. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to watch this WWE propaganda piece about Stone Cold Steve Austin. I gave it an hour. That's more than enough.
Too much propaganda on Stone Cold, you feel like?
It is, and it doesn't need it. like we can remember Steve Austin just as fondly and his career just as fondly, without like putting together a bunch of stunners or whatever in like a little highlight reel. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah.
So yeah,
Spaceman agrees.
Yeah. But I like what Sonic the Hedge Rat said here. We need to put a little verses up, and I'll do my Mrs. Dad pose.
I'll do the WWF Warzone Nintendo 64.
You do the screech. You come at me like with the screech.
Yeah. So I didn't like it, but I'll check out. I'll give another one a chance. I think the Roddy Piper one's next. I'll give that a chance, but if it's gonna be more of this glad handing and shit like that, then I can't. It's clearly very heavily WWE influence. I'm sure they held their participation hostage with A&E over like creative control of some kind. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for Impact Wrestling this week. Now, Vet, do you have anything that you need to plug or anything else that you want to talk about this week?
No, not really. I'll just replug the like I said, if you're a brand member, check out Black and White. If you're not listening to it, it's probably the best podcast that there is. No matter how much I think that Stevie will school Vince Russo on something, and then I'll hear Vince open his mouth about something, and I'll see he hasn't learned a bit, and he has to go back to school the next Thursday. So it's always entertaining, but even when they're just talking about, I was talking about them just on the recent episode, they were talking about the Dante Wright stuff, and that's stuff that everybody needs to hear. Even if you agree with it, you need to rehear it with the way Stevie Ray says it, because he was on fire. And it's also fun when they go back and talk about like old music or movies, or it's just them talking to each other is funny and entertaining. It's there aren't many podcasts that I would put over our podcast, but I think they've got a real quality show there on Black and White. So I do want to replug that. As you can see here, All right. What am I going to talk about that right now? As you can see here, right about here, that's my social media tag. You can find me anywhere. You might find me lurking in the chats on some of these Next Level Wrestling reviews, or Light the Fuses, or if I happen to be around for any of these shows or whatever, and you see Opinion Haver, that's the Vet. So I may pop in there. So I'll chat with you while I'm in the chat with you guys. And that's it for me. Yeah, add Opinion Haver everywhere. Colin?
Well, he wasn't saying that Paul McCartney died today. He was making reference to the Paul Fall, Billy Shears, all that craziness that's going on with the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts stuff.
That is actually a totally sweet joke that it went over my head, but I was just, he's at that age though. It's totally believable, man.
That's funny, you guys.
But no, I read it literally instead of in the voice. Bro, Paul McCartney died.
Bro. That's awesome. So yeah, guys, definitely if you like the Stevie Ray stuff, Aaron Stevens, Damian Sandow, he was on a guest on Stevie Ray TV. That was a really good episode. Aaron said he had a lot of fun doing it. Thank you guys for watching in the chat. We appreciate you guys coming in and stopping by and supporting us on YouTube. We like a little bit of the fan interaction here. That's one of my favorite things about doing all this stuff, is getting in here and chatting it up with you guys in the chat.
Yeah. On that note too, while you guys are in here and we're doing the show or whatever, if we have some, if we got some time at the end, like, we always, I feel like we could do this show in about 25 minutes if we just skip through it and don't BS around the other stuff. But if you have, if you want to do like a Reddit AVA, Ask Vet Anything, put your questions down there and we can maybe answer some of them at the end or something. Well, I mean, okay. Ask ACVA, whatever. You can ask. I don't know what you'd want to know from him, but if you're wrestling fans and you have wrestling questions or whatever that you perhaps like to ask, or just leave a comment or anything like that. Besides my social media, if you're live here with us, feel free.
Yes, and guys, you can find me on Twitter at Colin Wysong. You can find me on Facebook at Colin Wysong, and you can find me each and every week here on the Impact Attack with my man, the Vet, OVW veteran, who Rip Rogers gave him that nickname. I don't, yeah. When I first thought you were the Vet, I thought it was like a military gimmick. I didn't realize it was like a wrestling veteran. I thought like, oh, he's a vet. That's cool. Like he's like one man army or whatever
The
that thing
joke,
was.
just real quick, the joke was. This is the story. So for anybody listening now, I think I told you, Colin, but so basically, I'm signing up to be trained by him, and he's like looking me up and down, and he's like, I need to give you a name. Well, he's the rookie, right? So we'll call him the veteran, Vet. 5 years in the business.
Right. No, it's always the opposite of what you are. That's why like big dudes are called tinies.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, yeah, and he called my friend Zeus because he looked like Tiny Lister or whatever, which is also funny because the crowd would start calling him Debo, which is a completely different Tiny Lister character. But yeah, so he'd be like, "Oh shit, I'm not getting in there with fucking Zeus," shit like that. Or I assume he called Ben Pops because he was older. Like he was like what 29, 30 when he got to OCW, but he was compared to everybody else that was getting out of high school and wanted to follow their dream of being a wrestler. He was Pops. So Rip would just give you those names. So every time he saw me, he would like add time. He'd be like, Vet, 10 years in the business, then 15 years in the business, then like after a couple months it was like 256 years in the get some impossible number. So I leaned into it, and when we would do practice promos and stuff, I would say different things like I taught Julius Caesar how to how to do a schoolboy, or that kind of stuff, just going into it and trying to do funny promos like that. And then it's funny because I actually ended up doing a militaristic gimmick. The Army of Two was like, I saw that game, but the game hadn't come out yet, but there was like previews for it in magazines. Remember magazines, Colin?
I do. I have a bunch of old Game Informers.
Yeah, like analog. It's like analog internet. So there would be these magazines, and they showed this game that was getting ready to come out. And I was like, oh, that's a cool name, and I threw that in like the pile of maybe names for our tag team. And then nothing ended up coming better, so we used it. And then the game came out, but it seemed like we had it first. You know what I mean? But yeah, so we basically dress like the Shield. So that was the idea, and we were going to do all kinds of outlandish shit like in the matches. Like I had an idea of like we would take like one of those like dummy grenades like you could get at an army surplus store, and like I'd throw it in the ring from the apron, and everybody would like clear out, shit like that. or like I'd be getting beat up, and then I'd have my partner throw me like a rappelling line, and he'd pull me to the corner for so stupid shit.
Throw you an MRE to get your energy back.
Yeah,
just in the corner eating an MRE.
Yeah, nothing quite that ridiculous, but like it is pretty ridiculous. But obviously we never got to do any of that.
Yeah.
And my current self would have slapped my past self for even attempting to do something like that. Even though technically you could throw a dummy grenade that people could think is live in the ring. There's no, and the ref jumps out. Like there's no, that could happen.
Instead of OVW doctors coming and checking on you guys when you get injured, you have like two like medics come out and check on you.
Right. So that was a funny idea I had, but it never like, so we just played it straight, but we didn't want to do like a typical military type gimmick, because there have been those gimmicks like the Sergeant Slaughters and those type of things. So we went with the all black fatigues, and we went with the agent names, kind of like we both have like our last names were the kind of like vaguely made up names, like our shoot last names are that. So like Williams for me and Johnson for him. That sounds like, it's code names, right? But that was our shoot name. So we went with that, Agent Williams and Agent Johnson and stuff like that. So we did that. And then, obviously that came to an end. And then I think this guy, Charles the Hammer Evans, was down there at the same time as Chili Willy from ECW was down there. And then he went to Florida when they kind of shut down the developmental. So anybody that was under a contract went to Florida,
Mhm.
or Deep South, I think still was active at that time. So, luck of the draw wherever you ended up. And then I heard afterwards that Charles and Chili Willie, because Chili Willie was doing like a more regular military gimmick while he was there. And then I heard that they did some military gimmick, down in Florida. And so I just think that, Roman Reigns
You
and
know how
those
that
guys
goes.
stole it. Yeah, they
Yeah,
stole it
you
from
know how that
them,
goes.
who stole it from us. But so I am, for my part of the business, I am indirectly responsible for the Shield. But nonetheless, enough about me. Let's wrap this shit up.
Well, yeah, guys. So for me to plug, head on over to patreon.com/the A Show. Check out everything that April Hunter and Aaron Stevens are doing as I produce that stuff. And check us each and every week live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/the A Show. We just released a free episode for everybody where we had Matt McCarthy, former WWE creative and host of the We Watch Wrestling podcast, on and he was very instrumental in the intellectual saver and really helping kind of write and help Aaron and some of those things. And they shot on the business. They rehashed on some things. I think one of my favorite parts of the interview or having him on was when Matt basically was like, Vince is a mark for himself. So I think I've clipped that up and put that out there. It's hilarious the way that he just is like, I don't see how he just lost. He's like, and it's like, Vince, you book it.
Right.
Matt brought up a thing about the Cody Rhodes or Stardust versus Goldust. And Vince was like, nobody wants to see that. And it's like, Vince, you're the promoter. You have to make us want to see it. Like it's you. You're the one.
People credit him with way too much there, but they do that. It's kind of like I remember hearing a story about when remember when Daniel Bryan was there and they had Michael Cole call him a nerd all those times.
Yeah.
And then he said that Pat Patterson would see him backstage and be like, "Oh, you're such a nerd." I'm like, what are you talking about? You only know anything about me because of what they say on commentary. You don't know anything about me. You know what I mean? But it's so weird. You would think those guys wouldn't be marks, but they are marks. They're the biggest
Little
marks.
Little marks for themselves.
Hey, I also saw that. Did you have Dr. Wagner on the A Show? Dr. Wagner Jr. on the A Show or something?
No, that was
something. I don't. It seemed like he would have been a great get for the A Show.
that was actually Lucha Baca.
Oh.
Yeah, Lucha Baca. He made a run in on the show.
Okay, how'd that go?
Oh, it was fun. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed his company.
Oh, all right. That's
He
cool. You think
said
he'll ever be back, or
he might come back. He said a bunch of Wookiee things in Spanish.
like I don't know. You didn't make any drops of it, or I
No, I
wouldn't
didn't.
assume you would put those on your roadcaster.
I didn't make any drops of him speaking Spanish and Wookiee. But guys, that is it for the Impact Attack. It is it for your Impact Attack for the vet. I am Colin Weissong.
Goodbye. Mwah. And good night.
Oh my God, it's so great.
Bang! Yes!